Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done one of these. I just wanted to do a bit of a channel update, kind of explain where I'm at with things, talk a little bit about the podcast, some of my recent stretching progress, and sort of finishing up my Blackwork bodysuit. Now, I say finishing up, but with that being said, I'll never really be fully finished. Now I'm starting to do a lot of touch ups and just kind of polishing things, adding a few like line work pieces to some of my older black work. We did the first one last Wednesday. We added some black lines here. We didn't fill them in yet because black on black tattoos are kind of tricky. So we are planning on filling that in the next appointment. But it's really easy to get lost in what you're doing when there's black ink everywhere on black skin and we're adding fresh black. So especially for the first time, we wanted to take it slow and just kind of let the skin heal before we went to fill that in. I'm gone down to only getting tattooed every second week now, just because I'm done the main work. Now it's just kind of for fun and like looking for things to do at this point, because I just don't want to stop. At a certain point, it becomes pretty obvious that I actually like getting tattooed more than the tattoo that I'm wearing after. I think that happens at different points for different people. Maybe it never happens for some people, but for me, that's definitely where I'm at now. I just posted a finished picture of my bodysuit today on Instagram, and people will always think that there's nowhere to go from there, but there really are limitless amounts of things you can do if you know how. For one thing, I've darkened this arm quite a bit. You can even see the contrast from my elbow here down. This is where we left off. So you can see how much blacker that is than the old blackout. So for a fact, you can fairly well always get blacker blacks. Some people will try and convince you that once it's saturated, that's it, but that's not true. You can keep going darker. It's just like, how many times do you want to do the same spot? Well, in my case, I don't really mind. One day, I plan on having my whole body done over again. Like, eventually, after we get this arm fully blacked out, I'm going to be moving over to this arm and touching this arm up. Then I got to go down to my stomach, and then I want to do parts of my back. I want to change some of the gray fill in that we have on my back to black so that it matches up better. Yeah, there's always going to be things to do. Just a lot of people get to the end of a long bodysuit project and they're just tired and they've spent enough money and they're done. Like, they can't do anymore. I actually know some people who cannot even stand hearing a tattoo machine turn on anymore because they've been through so much pain that they can't deal with it anymore. Well, that's not the case for me. I don't feel that way. I don't think I ever will. For me, it's exciting. I like doing it once a week. But as I said, there isn't as much to do anymore, so I'm working at a reduced schedule. In terms of stretching, I'm pretty sure I've reached my goal size with my helix piercing in my left ear. It's now at 22 millimeter. I normally will wear silicone in that, but it's funny. Silicone, so it's fully healed right now, but when you leave a silicone piece in your helix, or probably any cartilage piercings that have a lot of so with the helix anyway, for the helix, we'll say, the helix has a bit of a natural bend to it, and it doesn't like being forced into certain positions, because this inner ear cartilage is a lot more sturdy than it is as you get farther out. So it doesn't like sitting in. It kind of cramps itself up and bends when you wear silicone. So every so often, I'll put in, like right now, I'm wearing a glass see-through plug, just to kind of correct the shape of it. So, because if you wear silicone for quite a while, it kind of fits itself in a weird way to a shape that I don't really want my ear to be. So I'm just kind of reshaping that. So that's why that's like that. I've got my conches at 14 millimeters now. I've said I want to take them to 16 millimeters, but I'm kind of feeling good where they are right now. And if I do go bigger, it'll be like gradually over time, because they look about the way they should now. Like they're, big enough that they take up that whole central area. But especially for my left conch, if I stretch that one much more, it's going to be pushing into that inner cartilage I was talking about and pinching between the helix and the conch. It's quite uncomfortable. So I don't know how much farther I really want to go with that. It's more likely that I'll stretch the right one and not the left one. But my ears are not quite symmetrical anyway, so that won't be a real nightmare for me to deal with. So yeah, conches went fast. I got my conches pierced, I don't know, a little over a year ago, and they're already at 14 millimeters. I did that using stretching kits from Stonewolf Adornments, and I think stretching kits are the best way to stretch everything now. Half sizes are like cheating. It makes it effortless. There's no pain. It's like natural, because you're only going up a millimeter at a time instead of two, which is normally how things were done years ago. We didn't have half sizes generally. So when you're only going up 1 millimeter, there's almost no stretch happening. It's almost like it's just a little snug. Once it's more or less healed, it's just a little snug to put the next one in. So yeah, I found the conches were probably the easiest thing I've ever stretched. They seem to take it really, really easily. The traguses were similar, but obviously there isn't as much space with the tragus, so I didn't go as far. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with tattoos and piercings right now. Septum's still 20 millimeters. My labret is at 26, and I'm thinking of even going one size lower with my labret. Sometimes I feel like it's just gotten maybe one or two sizes too big for comfort. I like the way it looks, but functionality and comfort long term is something I'm thinking about. And with stretched piercings this size, you can go down a size or two. It's just about leaving it out for a few nights kind of thing, and the tissue will tighten. It's never obviously going to grow back, but like you can get it to minimize a little. I've done it before. So I'm tossing it back and forth, maybe lowering the labret to 24 or even 22 millimeters maybe. Sometimes when you're stretching something and you're really excited about it, you're not thinking long term as much. And it's not like, oh, I regret it. I don't have any regrets. No, it's more about finding something you want to live with for prolonged amount of time, and functionality, right? I find to have a little less lip movement. Pronunciation is the same, but just the muscle is a little different in my lip than it used to be. A little more hollow, we'll say. So, yeah, we'll see. I haven't decided on that one yet, but like I say, fairly easy to do if I decide I want to decrease the size. Another thing people ask me about labret piercing is, can you get it like stitched up, or are you stuck with it kind of thing? It's one of the easiest things to stitch up. Just about any plastic surgeon can kind of close that hole. I've known lots of people who have done it, so it's kind of really not a very risky procedure. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, obviously I think we've done 18 Remy Show podcasts now. So we usually work a few weeks ahead. We didn't do one this week because my producer is held up right now. He's got some personal stuff going on. That's fine. What I wanted to get into a little bit is, I always talked about wanting to do the podcast during these vlogs. And now I'm doing it. But I wanted to get some feedback. If anyone watches this far into this video, I'd like to know what you guys think of the podcast so far. If you're enjoying it, what you would change. I always said I wanted to talk to more modified people from around the world. But the difficulty with that is I'd be doing Skype calls and stuff, Zoom or whatever, and the quality would not be the same. I don't know if that's a detriment or not. Do you like the length of the podcasts? Do you like the sets? Like any of those kinds of things? Because, yeah, it's just good to have feedback, and I haven't asked really about the podcast yet. And I really enjoy making it. It's actually my favorite thing I've done on all of social media. I really enjoy doing it every week, and it's now that we've got it set up, it's a lot of fun, and I really feel like it's a great way to tell the stories and give the information in a non-formal way that people can have answers to some of the questions that they've wanted to know about me, or a better way to know what to expect about getting into heavy tattooing, face tattoos, piercing problems, all that kind of stuff. Because for myself, growing up, there was never really much information. There was never really there was no podcast that was explaining that stuff. I mean, you could go on BME and you get information sometimes from people, but some people were stuck up and some people were busy or whatever. I just found it wasn't accessible enough before. And so what I'm trying to fill in with the podcast and really with my Instagram page in general is kind of like a help desk, or like a fount of information from my anecdotal experiences. And I have a lot. I've got a lot of different experiences and horror stories and fun times to talk about, like lots of different issues with piercings and tattoos and stuff. And I just don't feel like that space is fulfilled. And less about, oh, I want to make a career of this, and more about, as a hobby, I'd like to be of some help to other people who have similar issues that I've had over the years. Like the time when I got my my septum piercing cross-threaded. There was just no information. Like now, if you look up cross-threaded septum, you're going to find a video on this channel talking about that experience. I'm not saying it will ever happen to anyone watching this video, but like, it would be nice if you had a tattoo infection, and rather than looking on Google and finding, 35, 40 ugly pictures of skin falling apart and no real information that's helpful, you could, watch a video where someone who's had bad tattoo infections is talking about it and explains it clearly, how it happens, what you need to watch for, all that stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at with the podcast. Obviously, we get into a lot of different topics, but I just think overall there needs to be more information out there, more accessible, and a little more friendly too. I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping in the tattoo and body mod community, and I'm not interested in any of that. So, yeah. So, yeah, there's just a quick channel update. I haven't done one of these since, I think, May. So it's probably a little random, but if you guys enjoyed this, yeah, feel free to comment. Let me know any of your feedback on the podcast. Let me know if you're enjoying it or if you're hating it or any of that stuff, because I would like to know. Okay, have a good day.